Once there was a baker, and he ran his shop with his daughter. But as kind as he was, she was cruel. And one evening, as they shut up the shop, an old crone dressed in rags appeared near the doorway. Baker girl, bake me some bread. Bake me some bread, because soon I'll be dead. No, said the baker's daughter, away with you, old woman. It is the end of the day, you are too late, and you have nothing to pay with. But the baker looked at the old woman and said, Daughter, I will go home and make the house warm. You cook, you bake for this old beggar woman. Well, she went inside, and the old woman shuffled in behind her. And meanly, she took a small piece of dough and put it into the oven, which was still hot. But instantly, the whole of the shop was filled with the smell of baking bread. When she opened the oven, the loaf was much bigger than she expected. This is too good for that old beggar woman. I'll sell it tomorrow. And she turned and she said, Away with you, old woman, away. But the old woman, dressed in filthy rags, shuffled closer and said, Baker girl, bake me some bread. Bake me some bread, because soon I'll be dead. Well, she remembered what her father had said. She took another, smaller piece of dough and put it into the still warm oven. And again, instantly, the shop was filled with the smell of baking bread. How could it be baked already? When she opened the oven door, such a large loaf, bigger than before. So strange. Too good for that old woman. Away with you, old woman. This loaf is not for you. Get out of the shop. But now the old woman shuffled closer and put out a bony finger and pressed it into the girl's chest. Baker girl, bake me some bread. Bake me some bread, because soon I'll be dead. Well, what could she say? She remembered again the words of her father, and she could not disobey. So she took just a tiny bit of dough between her fingers, put it into the oven, and again, within half a second, the shop was filled with the smell of baking bread. She opened the oven, and there was a loaf that filled the oven. It was as big as the inside of the oven, and it was huge and crusty and smelt so good. Away with you, old woman, this loaf of bread is too good for you, out of the shop. But now the old woman looked at her, and as she looked, the girl saw that the old woman changed. The rags became wings, feathered wings, and the old woman became a shining angel. She looked at her with bright eyes, and the baker girl could not look back. She said, Who? And now the baker girl herself began to transform. Her own arms became wings, her nose became a beak, her feet became claws, and she opened her wings and took off, flying out of the baking shop and over the streets of the city into the night. The owl was a baker's daughter. We know what we are, but know not what we may be. This line is spoken by Ophelia in Hamlet. And Shakespeare would have known the story, The Owl Was a Baker's Daughter, an old British tale. We know what we are, but know not what we may be. I tell this to you on the 29th of March, 2020, and this story was requested by my wife, Tammy Heathfield, and it's her birthday today. This is David Heathfield, A Breath of Fresh Air.